And beloved, hear me by the Spirit today. There is a sound being released from heaven that is confronting every invisible force responsible for delay in your life. I did not come to motivate you. I came to activate you. I did not come to comfort excuses. I came to confront resistance. Something has been sitting on your timeline. Something has been tampering with your season. Something has been intercepting what God already approved. And today, by divine authority, we address it. The God who controls times and seasons has authorized this moment. And when heaven authorizes a moment, delay loses its legal right to exist. You have prayed, you have fasted, you have waited, and yet it feels as though time has been dragging its feet. But hear me clearly. Delay is not denial, and stagnation is not your destiny. What you are experiencing is not because you lack faith. It is because there has been opposition at the gate of your breakthrough. But today, we are not negotiating, we are legislating. I am speaking to every power that has slowed progress, stalled movement, and recycled old battles. And I declare that their assignment expires now. Some of you have been stuck in cycles, same effort, same prayers, same results. And the enemy has tried to convince you that this is normal. It is not normal. It is warfare. Setbacks tried to rewrite your confidence. Delays tried to rewrite your hope. But God sent you here today to rewrite the verdict. What was postponed is being released. What was blocked is being unlocked. And what was pushed back is being pulled forward by divine acceleration. As we go further, I want you to engage this moment fully. This is not a spectator prayer. This is a participatory command. If you are ready for God to interrupt delay, to shatter stagnation, and to reverse setbacks in your life, I want you to like this video and subscribe to the channel for daily prayer that keeps your spirit sharp and your authority active. Stay connected to what God is doing in this hour. And before we move another inch, I need your faith to speak. Type amen in the comments as a prophetic seal that you agree with what heaven is doing right now. Then comment one thing you are believing God for today. Just one. Because when you name it, you mark it. And when you mark it, heaven moves on it. Your season is shifting, and this moment is not by accident. Beloved, we come before you with reverence, awareness, and alignment, understanding that nothing in the earth manifests unless it is first authorized in the Spirit. We acknowledge that delays do not begin in calendars. They begin in unseen places. And so today we do not address symptoms, we address roots. We recognize that resistance is not always loud. Sometimes it is subtle, quiet, patient, sitting at the gate of destiny with legal language, arguing timing, questioning worthiness, challenging readiness. But today we stand in the authority of heaven, not as beggars asking permission, but as sons and daughters executing divine mandate. We step into this moment with clarity, knowing that you are the God who makes time bow, who causes seasons to respond, who overrides human limitation with eternal order. We speak to every spiritual structure that has positioned itself as a delay mechanism in our lives. Anything that has been assigned to slow momentum, to stretch timelines beyond divine intention, to frustrate effort despite obedience, we identify you now. You are not hidden, you are not protected, and you are not permanent. We dismantle the illusion that delay is normal when heaven has already spoken yes. We reject the narrative that postponement is humility when obedience has already been proven. We declare that every resistance stationed at the gate of our next level is being exposed by divine light, because nothing resists forever when truth arrives. We understand that gates exist for regulation, not obstruction. And when a gate is abused by darkness, it becomes a place of contention. So today we approach the gates of progress, the gates of opportunity, the gates of fulfillment, and we issue a lawful command. Let every unauthorized voice be silenced. Let every ancient argument against advancement lose its relevance. Let every demonic memo attempting to delay manifestation be shredded by the authority of the word. We are not early, we are not late, we are aligned. And alignment overrides resistance. We address the spiritual root systems that feed delay. Roots of fear disguised as caution. Roots of trauma disguised as wisdom. Roots of disappointment disguised as realism. Anything that entered through pain and planted itself in the subconscious, quietly influencing decisions, quietly shrinking expectation, quietly lowering spiritual posture. We uproot you now. You have lived too long in hidden places. You have fed on silence, but today the voice of truth calls you out. You will not remain beneath the surface influencing outcomes while pretending to be protection. We speak to resistance that came through words spoken over us, limitations declared by others, labels assigned in seasons when we were still becoming, words that framed timelines incorrectly, opinions that boxed potential, judgments that attempted to freeze growth. We revoked their authority. We canceled their power. We declare that no word spoken outside of divine instruction has the right to regulate our future. We do not move according to human estimation. We move according to heavenly authorization. We confront the spirit of delay that hides behind patience and pretends to be character building while stealing years. We understand the difference between preparation and postponement. Preparation equips, but postponement drains. Preparation strengthens, but postponement discourages. Today, we draw the line between what God is using and what the enemy is abusing. We refuse to confuse endurance with endurance of injustice. We refuse to spiritualize stagnation. We refuse to normalize delay that was never assigned by heaven. We speak to resistance at the gate that appears as repeated obstacles, constant interruptions, unexplained detours, and cycles that reset progress. We name you for what you are. You are not coincidence. You are contention, and contention must bow when authority stands. We take our place not emotionally, not anxiously, but calmly, confidently, firmly, because authority does not shout. Authority speaks once and expects compliance. And so we speak once with clarity and we expect movement. We declare that every gate holding back manifestation is receiving new instructions from heaven. Gates that were closed are opening. Gates that were monitored by opposition are being reassigned. Gates that required struggle are now responding to authority. We are not pushing doors anymore. We are walking through openings. We are not begging timelines. We are aligning with divine order. We are not chasing what God already approved. We address the inner agreements that partnered with delay unknowingly. Agreements with doubt that said maybe later. Agreements with fear that said not yet. Agreements with comparison that said someone else first. We break those agreements now. We withdraw consent. We revoke permission. We declare that our spirit is no longer in negotiation with delay. Our yes to God cancels every yes we gave to hesitation. We speak peace into the process because agitation feeds resistance, but calm authority dismantles it. We choose rest over rush, trust over tension, faith over frustration. We refuse to panic at the gate. We refuse to strive at the door. We stand knowing that heaven backs what we speak. And because heaven backs it, earth must respond. We command every spiritual checkpoint, question our readiness to stand down. The blood speaks louder than accusation. Obedience speaks louder than history. Growth speaks louder than past mistakes. We are not who we were, and resistance cannot hold us accountable to versions of ourselves that no longer exist. We have evolved. We have matured. We have been processed. We have been refined, and the gate must acknowledge that transformation has occurred. We declare acceleration without anxiety, movement without confusion, progress without loss. We do not skip steps, we redeem time. We do not rush purpose, we align with precision. We do not force doors, we enter assigned moments. Everything that was slowed unnaturally now receives supernatural speed. Everything that was delayed unjustly now receives divine compensation. We speak to the spiritual environment surrounding our lives. Atmospheres shift when authority speaks. Resistance weakens when alignment is present. Confusion clears when truth enters. We declare that clarity replaces chaos, direction replaces delay, peace replaces pressure. Our steps are ordered, our timing is synchronized, our movement is intentional. We release this word gently but firmly, knowing that calm authority carries weight. We do not need to end this declaration with finality because the process continues. Even as the sound fades, the work continues even as the prayer flows, the shift unfolds even as the moment breathes, and heaven continues to enforce what has been spoken as alignment settles, resistance dissolves, gates respond, timelines adjust, momentum returns, clarity strengthens, confidence rises, faith steadies, expectation rebuilds, and movement begins again in quiet certainty, in divine rhythm, in ordered progression, in peace that surpasses urgency, in assurance that what was delayed has heard the command. What was delayed has received instruction, and what was waiting at the gate is now repositioning itself according to heaven's original intent. Beloved, we shift our focus now to the unseen cycles that have tried to trap your life in repetition, the patterns that replay themselves season after season, the familiar frustrations that return wearing different faces but carrying the same weight. We acknowledge that stagnation is not simply a pause, it is a strategy. And setbacks are not accidents. They are coordinated attempts to convince you that forward motion is optional. But today we sit in stillness, not because we are passive, but because calm authority has entered the room. And when authority is present, cycles lose their power to continue unchecked. We speak gently but firmly to every pattern that has repeated itself beyond its expiration date. The same obstacles, the same disappointments, the same emotional responses, the same outcomes after sincere effort. These cycles have attempted to present themselves as personality traits, as family history, as normal limitations, but today they are exposed for what they truly are. Structures built to keep you familiar with struggle instead of acquainted with progress. We do not resist them with frustration. We dismantle them with understanding and authority. We recognize that stagnation often settles quietly. It does not announce itself loudly. It settles into routine. It convinces you that survival is success, that endurance is fulfillment, that consistency without advancement is maturity. But heaven never designed you to simply manage life. You were designed to move, to grow, to expand, to advance from glory to glory. And so today, with a calm spirit and a settled mind, we declare that every place where movement stopped prematurely is receiving new breath. We address setbacks that rewired expectation, moments when you stepped forward with faith and were met with resistance, moments when you tried again only to feel pushback. These experiences attempted to teach your spirit to brace for disappointment, to lower anticipation, to celebrate less so the fall would hurt less. But today, healing enters those moments. We release the weight they placed on your confidence. We untangle your hope from past outcomes. We remind your soul that what did not work before does not get to define what will work now. We dismantle cycles that were inherited unknowingly, patterns passed down through family lines, mentalities formed in environments where limitation was normalized, beliefs shaped by watching others struggle without resolution. These cycles did not begin with you, but they do not get to continue with you. You are the interruption. You are the point of change, and change does not always arrive with noise. Sometimes it arrives with awareness. And awareness has arrived now. We speak to stagnation that has disguised itself as waiting on God while quietly avoiding risk. Waiting on God brings peace, but stagnation brings numbness. Waiting strengthens faith, but stagnation dulls vision. We separate the two now. We release you from false patience that kept you inactive. We restore healthy anticipation that keeps you aligned and alert. We declare that divine waiting always carries instruction, and instruction always produces movement. We confront emotional cycles that keep replaying old conversations, old regrets, old fears, moments that should have been processed but instead became permanent reference points. These memories have attempted to anchor you to a version of yourself that no longer exists. Today, we gently loosen their grip. We allow healing to flow without pressure. We allow the mind to rest without rehearsal of pain. We allow the heart to release what it has been holding out of habit rather than necessity. We speak to spiritual setbacks that came from misunderstanding seasons, times when silence was mistaken for absence, when process was mistaken for rejection, when refinement was mistaken for failure. These misunderstandings produced discouragement, and discouragement opened the door to stagnation. Today, clarity replaces confusion. Understanding replaces heaviness. You were not rejected. You were being repositioned. You were not delayed permanently. You were being prepared intentionally. We dismantle the belief that you must always start over, that every mistake erases progress, that every pause resets growth. This belief has exhausted many hearts and drained many spirits. Today, we restore continuity. We declare that nothing learned is lost, nothing gained is wasted, nothing endured is erased. Even setbacks carry wisdom, and wisdom becomes momentum when recognized. We speak to cycles of self-sabotage that activate just as progress appears. Moments when fear whispers too loudly, when comfort feels safer than expansion, when familiar pain feels easier than unfamiliar freedom. We do not condemn these responses, we heal them. We acknowledge that safety once mattered, but now growth is required. We gently shift the inner posture from protection to progression. We address stagnation in vision, places where dreaming became tiring, where imagination felt dangerous, where hope felt naive. This stagnation has muted creativity and narrowed expectation. Today, we invite vision back without pressure. We allow dreams to return softly. We permit hope to stretch again without fear of disappointment. We remind your spirit that vision is not a setup for pain, it is a pathway to purpose. We dismantle cycles of comparison that repeatedly steal momentum, looking at others and concluding that you are behind, that your pace is wrong, that your journey is inferior. These thoughts quietly drain joy and stall progress. Today, we release you from timelines that were never assigned to you. Your journey is not late, it is specific. Your pace is not slow, it is intentional. Your path is not inferior, it is unique. We speak to the spiritual heaviness that settles when progress feels invisible, the weariness that comes from doing the right things without immediate results. This heaviness often convinces the soul to stop expecting. Today, strength returns without striving. Endurance returns without pressure. We remind your spirit that unseen movement is still movement, and roots grow quietly before fruit appears open. We confront setbacks that created fear of starting again, fear of believing again, fear of trying again. These fears have been protective, but they are no longer needed. Today, we allow courage to return gently, not forced bravery, but settled confidence. Confidence that says, even if it takes time, it will not take peace. Confidence that says, even if it requires growth, it will not require self-betrayal. We declare that cycles are breaking not through effort, but through alignment. Alignment with truth, alignment with identity, alignment with divine intention. When alignment is restored, cycles collapse naturally. Stagnation dissolves quietly. Setbacks lose their authority to repeat. And progress resumes without struggle. As we speak to your inner rhythm, places where life began to feel mechanical, repetitive, uninspired. Today, vitality returns. Curiosity returns. Joy returns without being chased. Life begins to flow again, not hurried, not forced, but steady and alive. We release peace into forward movement. Peace that does not rush, but does not stall. Peace that listens, but does not freeze. Peace that trusts timing without surrendering momentum. You move again without anxiety. You grow again without fear. You advance again without guilt. We declare that the chapter of repetition is closing, not with drama, but with resolve, not with noise, but with certainty. Lessons have been learned. Awareness has been gained. Strength has been formed. And now movement becomes natural again. We allow grace to settle over every place where progress felt interrupted. Grace does not erase responsibility, it restores capacity. Capacity to hope again, capacity to move again, capacity to believe without fear of disappointment, capacity to trust the process without losing yourself. We speak gently to your future and tell it to open, not forcefully, but willingly. Doors respond to calm authority. Pathways align when fear steps aside, and your life begins to unfold again with rhythm, with clarity, with direction. We remain still enough to listen, confident enough to move, aware enough to release what no longer serves the journey, settled enough to trust what is unfolding. And as this prayer continues to flow, cycles weaken, stagnation loosens, setbacks lose their grip, momentum returns softly, direction steadies, faith steadies, hope breathes, peace anchors, and progress resumes in quiet strength, in divine order, in gentle motion, in steady unfolding, in calm assurance, in the knowing that what once repeated no longer has permission, what once stalled no longer has authority, and what once set you back no longer defines the path ahead as the work continues beneath the surface, unseen but undeniable, steady and sure, aligning every part of your life with forward movement, restored rhythm, and purposeful flow. Beloved, there is a divine speed that does not rush, and there is a holy restoration that does not exhaust, and today we align with both. We understand that acceleration in the kingdom is not chaos, it is precision. It is not pressure, it is synchronization. It is when heaven steps into time and causes what took years to suddenly make sense in moments. And we come calmly, confidently, aware that acceleration is not about moving faster than grace, but moving in agreement with purpose. We are not asking to skip process. We are asking for alignment that redeems time. We acknowledge that time has felt heavy for many of you. Days stretched long, months blended together, seasons passed without visible change, not because nothing was happening, but because restoration was happening beneath the surface. Roots were deepening, strength was forming, wisdom was being installed quietly. And now what was prepared slowly is ready to manifest swiftly. Divine acceleration does not begin when impatience rises. It begins when preparation is complete. We speak to the years that felt lost, the time spent recovering instead of building, surviving instead of advancing, healing instead of producing. We declare that those years are not void, they are valuable. Heaven does not waste experience. Every delay refined discernment, every pause strengthened endurance, every quiet season sharpened perception. And now, those deposits become fuel for acceleration. What felt like lost time becomes reclaimed momentum. We release restoration without regret. We do not look back with bitterness. We look back with understanding that nothing was stolen that cannot be restored, understanding that nothing delayed was beyond redemption, understanding that God does not restore partially, he restores holistically, not just outcomes, but confidence, not just opportunities, but clarity, not just progress, but peace. We speak to acceleration that flows gently, acceleration that does not overwhelm the nervous system, acceleration that does not confuse the mind, acceleration that does not demand compromise. We reject hurried breakthroughs that cost peace. We receive ordered advancement that preserves wholeness. We declare that what comes quickly will also come clean, aligned, and sustainable. We address fear that resists acceleration because it is unfamiliar. Fear that says if things move too fast, something will be lost. Fear that learned to survive slow because slow felt safe. Today we soothe that fear. We remind it that divine speed is not reckless. Divine speed is intelligent. It moves only what is ready. It reveals only what is prepared. It releases only what can be stewarded. We activate restoration of confidence. Confidence that was chipped away by repeated delays. Confidence that was muted by comparison. Confidence that learned to stay quiet to avoid disappointment. Today, that confidence returns without arrogance, returns without striving, returns without explanation. You trust yourself again. You trust timing again. You trust God again. We speak to acceleration in understanding. Suddenly things connect. Conversations make sense. Decisions become clear. Direction sharpens. What once felt confusing now feels obvious. Not because information increased, but because alignment settled. Alignment accelerates clarity. When the soul is aligned, answers arrive without effort. We release restoration in relationships, connections that were delayed for protection, alignments that were postponed for maturity, doors that closed to redirect. Today, the right people find you at the right time with the right language. There is no scrambling, no chasing, no forcing, just recognition, just resonance, just flow. We declare acceleration and purpose. Projects that stalled begin to move. Ideas that sat dormant begin to breathe. Vision that felt distant now feels reachable. Not because effort increased, but because resistance lifted. When resistance lifts, movement feels natural again. We speak to the nervous system and command calm, because acceleration without calm becomes anxiety. But acceleration with calm becomes confidence. We choose the latter. We breathe deeply, we settle internally, we allow movement to happen. Without panic, we trust the pace of grace. We restore joy in progress, joy that was lost when progress felt delayed, joy that was muted when outcomes were uncertain. Today, joy returns, not because everything is finished, but because movement has resumed. There is joy in forward motion. There is joy in alignment. There is joy in knowing that the season has shifted. We speak to acceleration that is cumulative, small wins stacking, daily progress compounding, quiet consistency producing visible change. This is not sudden chaos. This is steady multiplication. What once took effort now takes alignment. What once required striving now responds to intention. We reclaim time mentally. We stop rehearsing the past. We stop fearing the future. We anchor in the present where power resides. Power is never in regret or anxiety. It is always in now. And now is aligned. Now is active. Now is open. We declare restoration of trust in process. Process no longer feels like punishment. It feels purposeful. Each step matters. Each moment counts. And acceleration does not erase process. It fulfills it. We speak to the body and release rest. Because accelerated seasons still require rest. We reject burnout disguised as obedience. We receive rhythm, work and rest, movement and stillness, output and recovery. This balance protects longevity. We activate divine favor that smooths paths, favor that opens doors without explanation, favor that shortens distances, favor that introduces opportunity at the right moment, favor that makes room without noise. We restore hope gently, hope that was guarded, hope that was cautious, hope that learned to whisper instead of speak. Today, hope rises without fear. It stretches again. It imagines again. It expects again. We speak to acceleration that honors maturity. You are not stepping into something you cannot handle. You are stepping into what you have been prepared for, prepared emotionally, prepared spiritually, prepared mentally. We release restoration of identity, identity that was questioned during delay, identity that was doubted during waiting. Today you remember who you are, not defined by timeline, but by calling, not defined by pace, but by purpose. And now, as this moment settles into your spirit, I want you to engage personally, because acceleration responds to agreement. Ask yourself honestly, and then answer it in the comments so your faith can speak out loud. What is one area of your life where you are believing God to restore lost time and release divine acceleration right now? And as you answer, allow peace to anchor, clarity to deepen, alignment to strengthen, movement to continue unfolding gently, steadily, confidently with heaven's rhythm, guiding every step, restoring what was delayed, redeeming what was lost, and accelerating what is now ready to move forward according to divine order and perfect timing. Beloved, authority is not volume and power is not pressure. True authority is calm, settled, and unmoved by resistance because it knows its source. Today we step into that posture, not as those trying to convince heaven, but as those aligned with heaven's intent. We understand that words spoken in alignment with divine authority do not beg for results, they legislate outcomes. And so we speak, not from emotion, not from urgency, but from position, aware that when authority is exercised correctly, progress becomes inevitable. We acknowledge that many delays persist, not because heaven is silent, but because authority has not been exercised with clarity. Authority does not argue, it declares. Authority does not repeat itself anxiously. It speaks once and expects order. And today we allow that understanding to settle deeply within us. We release the need to explain ourselves to resistance. We release the habit of negotiating with obstacles. We stand in a place of quiet confidence, knowing that authority does not require validation. We recognize that progress responds to alignment, not effort alone. Effort without authority leads to exhaustion, but authority aligned with purpose produces movement without strain. Today, we realign our words with our position. We stop speaking from frustration and begin speaking from identity. We stop declaring what we see and begin declaring what has been authorized. We remember that our voice carries weight, not because of tone, but because of source. We speak to confusion and command it to stand down. Confusion often disguises itself as complexity, making progress feel complicated and overwhelming. But clarity is a product of authority. When authority speaks, confusion loses its place. Today, clarity settles gently. Decisions feel lighter. Direction feels steadier. You no longer feel pulled in multiple directions because authority brings focus. We address hesitation that formed from past failures, moments when confidence was shaken, when speaking boldly felt risky, when silence felt safer than declaration. Today we heal that hesitation. We remind the soul that authority is not arrogance. Authority is alignment. When you speak what heaven has spoken, you are not overstepping, you are agreeing, and agreement carries power. We release the need to defend progress. Progress does not need explanation. Growth does not need permission. Movement does not need approval. Today, we let go of the impulse to justify why it is our time. Time is not proven by argument. It is revealed by alignment, and alignment is present now. We speak to environments that have resisted change, spaces where familiarity has bred stagnation, places where progress felt uncomfortable to others. Today, we do not shrink to maintain comfort. We do not dim authority to preserve acceptance. We remain gentle but firm, calm but unwavering. Authority does not intimidate, but it does not retreat. We declare forward movement in conversations, in opportunities, and decisions. Conversations that once stalled now flow. Opportunities that once felt distant now feel accessible. Decisions that once felt heavy now feel clear. Authority brings momentum because it removes doubt at the root. We speak to inner resistance, the quiet voice that questions readiness, the subtle thought that says maybe later, the hesitation that delays action without obvious reason. Today we address it without judgment. We reminded that readiness is not perfection, it is alignment. And alignment has been achieved through growth, learning, and obedience. We release authority over our calendars. Time no longer controls us. We steward time. Days no longer feel wasted, they feel intentional. Weeks no longer blur together, they carry purpose. Authority brings structure without rigidity, flow without chaos. We speak to the fear of being seen, fear that progress will attract attention, expectation, responsibility. This fear has kept many hidden longer than necessary. Today, we reassure the soul that visibility does not mean vulnerability. Authority provides covering. You can be seen and still be safe. You can advance and still be protected. We declare that our words now align with outcome. We stop saying someday and begin saying now. We stop saying hopefully and begin saying confidently. Language shifts atmosphere. Words spoken in authority rearrange environments. And as our language shifts, our reality begins to follow. We speak to delayed obedience, instructions that were postponed out of uncertainty. Steps that were delayed out of caution. Today, obedience resumes without fear. Not rushed, not forced, but timely. Authority restores trust in action. We release authority over emotional reactions. Progress is not derailed by emotion anymore. We respond instead of react. We choose steadiness over impulse. Authority stabilizes the inner world, making the outer journey smoother. We speak to spiritual opposition that thrives on inconsistency. Opposition weakens when authority remains consistent. Today we commit to consistency of posture, calm, confident, aligned, not swayed by mood, not distracted by noise. We declare that doors now respond differently. What once required effort now requires presence. What once felt heavy now feels light. Authority changes how doors recognize you. They open not because you knock harder, but because you arrive